Hello, everybody. This is Dwayne Musino. I'm going to read another story tonight. This one here is called God's Garden, a Tree Story. I was going to read another one today, but when I saw this one, I think this one should be the next one in, followed by the one I was going to do today, because this one takes priority, and there are different meanings for it. As you can see on the back, it says God's Garden, life is God, God is life. And you can't go wrong with that, right? In the front, it has the scroll of time, God's garden, a tree story. Now, right here, you'll notice this picture of the tree. But watch this. You flip it over, and it gives a little tiny clue of what's to come. It says, I am also a magnet for kites. Now, before I read this story, I want to give you a little story on how I came about this, the story itself. I actually was going to a library, to a class, and an English teacher and a writer of herself, and she is amazing. And what she did was she let me into the class free of charge, and I showed her what I could do from past my short stories. I let her read them, and she liked them, so she let me join the club in there. And I went class by class, and she decided to give me this test. This picture is an actual copy. She said she handed me this picture and handed everybody in there a picture. It says, make this tree a story and make it come to life as if it was the tree itself. Now, mind you, I was up for the challenge, but I have not written at that point 6 years ago. I'd say 20 some odd years before that, since my last time. So it's like, so anyway, I decided to do it, and it turns out one person in that class, as we were reading the stories that were previously written, she said something in there of a personal nature, and she put it in a short story. And I started listening. I said, you know what? And that was after I got the picture. I said, you know what? That might come in handy if I put it in here and make it a surprise for her. So I did that. And I put two stories in one for the person that made the story and put it into the story, blended it for God's Garden, a Tree Story as a project at the same time. And then actually, I read it for her and I told her what I did, and she was happy that I did it. And so was the teacher, because not only did I give her what she wanted, brought it to life, but I actually blended the two stories together. I like doing that because I see it all in my head as it comes together. One part, two parts. How does it come together and form? And then coming out with the big picture in the end, make sure it all forms together to the end, and have the big puzzle at the end finished. That's what I did. So anyway, here we go, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna step back a little bit here, and we're gonna start God's Garden, a Tree Story. There we go. All right. There it is. Here we go, everybody. I apologize. And we are ready to go. God's Garden, a tree story. Since time began, we have been in God's garden. I hear his voice giving instructions always. A garden in which life is always renewed. God's instructions are clear. As one of our kind falls to time, it is explained we are all part of a system to fertilize the next generation of trees. We are shown a secret known to trees alike, a way to count our seasons before it is our time to fall. To fulfill God's promises to life cycles, all our needs are given as warmth from a sun and the moon at night for a cycle of tides, and moisture to replenish always. We must share the resources and enjoy the sun and life-giving water. Provide to the garden all food and shade needed for life. We have strong, deep roots in earth. This day I turn my eyes and notice a little girl circling all the trees around me and looking up at my branches. I saw and felt an oddly shaped kite, as she called it. She walked around confused but determined to find a way to free the kite from the branches. I am not alone. This garden grows a tree, many different trees, all with the task of cleaning the air in the garden. We all make a promise to God to never falter from our jobs. The seasons change per instructions. We must change colors of our leaves, and you drop the old for the new in season. The night arrived. I asked God for a wind to shake the kite from me. And as the branches shook the kite, in short time it fell to the ground. I was happy to have helped the little girl, and I must say, I couldn't wait to see her reaction in the morning. As day arose and the girl walked to me, she was so happy to see the wind the night before had dropped the kite for her to hold once again. She hugged me and she ran away excited. Our leaves give protection for all creatures in the garden and to give shade as to not lose too much moisture from our roots. With many, we have it easier to do our job to expand life. We are nature in harmony, also God's recycling engine. With work to do, there is always a worry of insects slowing my job. The elements test us, trees, every day, making it harder in hot and cold weather months. This is when elements change my appearance and my life. As time passed, a young woman approached me and placed her hand on the heart a little girl once gave to me as a promise. She looked older, and I knew her. She was the girl, the very same to place the heart and inscribe it. She has now grown again, and it seems they must grow fast, for as she visits, she grows. Today she smiled at me. She wore a uniform of a forest ranger, those who take care of and manage the cycle of life. Of all known trees, all creatures of God. A little girl has blossomed from curiosities to kindness to a woman who believes in taking care of life in all forms. A promise fulfilled and a thank you to God, a real tree detective for all the trees of the garden. Like a snapshot of time, the girl grows as the tree to a woman. She moves away from me to find what she called a camera, and with a click and a flash, she recorded my life, my gifts, and my promise to God and earth. Thank you for hearing a tree's story to stand the test of time. Dwayne T. Musino finished 2:59 p.m. on March 22nd, 2018. Okay, now, as I read that, it was okay. Only one small, big problem just came out of that. I might have to do this reading over the proper way because one part was missing out of that. And I noticed it as I was reading it. But since I'm doing it's like a live video right now of the story, I don't want it to be not entered into the actual story when it's supposed to be there. See, what I'm actually reading here, I noticed when I started, I should have looked properly, and I thought it was. I'm actually reading the originals. You can see these lines as you see them here. Well, that was the separations of different parts of the story, and I had to really read it once I noticed they were originals. And now I got to figure out where that part is that I missed, and I noticed it was missing as I was reading it. I'm like, oh, where'd it go? There it is over there. I'm like, oh, boy. So anyway, and I believe it's right here, right? Yep. So that, let me see. Yep, that's me. Okay, what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm actually going to place this exactly how I have to read it. In fact, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to end the video right now, or I think it would be best to end this video and start a different video with Scratch with the one that I actually wrote after this when it's all in order. Not the originals, because this confused me. So what I'm going to do is apologize for that. I'm going to end this video. If you're seeing this later, and I'm going to get the number one copy that I have, where it's all together and perfectly written. And this, I'm going to put away. No more confusion. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Dwayne Musino, God's Garden of Trees story, at least 3/4 of it was, maybe more, was spoken, but not the whole thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video now and get to the original number one copy, and I'm going to start that immediately right after this video. Again, I apologize for that, and thank you very much. I hope you enjoy it when I do get the original right in a few seconds, number one original. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care.